Hello, this is Paul Jones again, and this is the second part of our first unit. And if you haven't watched the first part yet, you should. We're going to pick up on what the motherboard has here, and be able to point out some of the items that are on here. We have now what is called a memory in long sets of chips today, and they might even be called a SIMS chip. And also we have the updated board here with a lot of things on here. That on the back of it is the components that you plug in on the back of your machine. We'll get more into that. In fact, I'll move on right now. Take notice that this is an older board now, and what we have here is a go to the back of it here. We're going to see that we have a USB connectors here that is available, and Ethernet connections where you're able to hook up a home network, or what is basically used to go on to the web with wideband usage. Now the ATX-in here, it represents where the the power in goes in from this power unit, and we move on to a lot of slots up here where different cards are used for the addition or expanding the capabilities of your machine. Now on this particular board, it seems like it might get a card that is used for video or for a typical voice, you know, to be able to put out for speakers and other components. On the newer boards like we were looking at before, there would be an output right here that would hook up for a typical printer. We would have outputs to be able to plug in your speakers. It's already mounted on the board and doesn't need all those cards, and for that purpose we have a lot less slots here to be able to put in any special cards. They are still available because there might be special usages for them. For example, you might want to put special equipment on that would expand the capabilities that you already have. On my new computer, I do not have a telephone modem, so I might go out and get a card to put in here and expand my computer to make use of an auto dialer that is already provided on my machine. So getting back to this other, we also have a couple chips, which is an ISA bridge, a PCI bridge. These chips operate and recognize the different boards that are plugged in on your machine when you make use of those slots. Now we do have an auxiliary power in, and on one of the things that we should notice here, on the newer board, the power would be plugged in right here. However, the auxiliary in that it's talking about would be plugged in here. So on the newer boards, there is actually two plugs of power going into your machine. Getting back to the other one, we have other inputs for different compatibilities, and like I said before, we will be able to use this for a variety of things as necessary. This is a display of something that you will probably never see, but is of interest. This is what you would find in a communications closet when working with a network in a business. Each one of these strings are addresses, and be able to hook in and identify each unit that is being participating in a given network. This has been upgraded quite a bit for a series of hubs and switches to be able to make the operation much more automatic. So we are back to the ideas of the memory now, and take notice that at the top is the chip that we looked at the very beginning, and looking at the bottom we can realize a more similar thing that we see on the board that I showed you before, where a SIMS chip gets plugged in. Now, to expand the memory of one of these boards, chips might be mounted on both sides of these strips. They are very easy to install by going to the motherboard, and let me back up on that, and as they are pushed into this slot right here, the machine will recognize the amount of memory that each one has, and it's very easy to upgrade your computer that way. So with this, we need to realize how devices work on your machine. I already pointed out that there is a central processing unit which sends out and transfers data from one device to another. The device might be a printer, it might be a camera, or even the monitor that you see images on. And on the bottom I have a mouse that is a little bit, quite a bit different than what most people see, because there are so many different kinds of mice available. Even in our room we have a couple different mice, and a couple of them don't even have a wheel to scroll. But each device has its own set of commands according to how they are manufactured. Now, that means that each device will not take raw data coming from the processing unit, but will transfer it into a language that each item will understand. Now, to explain this, let's say that I am trying to talk to somebody who will only speak in Spanish. They only understand Spanish. However, what I do is I speak English to somebody who understands English and Spanish together. Now, in that, we have let's say this is me, and I talk to somebody who understands English, and through the process we are able to deliver it to a Spanish-speaking person. And when we have a reply from that Spanish-speaking person, it goes through this person who understands both languages and delivers it to me with that proper response in English. Now, that is the principle of a driver. The driver would be that translator to make it from one language to another. We'll stop this now and we'll go on.